TOPS stands for Tactical Operational Products. We tend to overbuild everything. If 3/16 is enough, we'll do 1/4 inch. If 1/8 is enough, we'll do 3/16. People that view this as all I need is just enough. It's easy to say that until just enough isn't enough. Hopefully, you're just out camping. You can get in your car and drive home. But for a lot of our customers, they can't. They're out in the field, sometimes in foreign countries, sometimes in combat situations. And if their knife fails, just enough is just, it's never enough in that type of situation. So that's why we do it the way we do. Once we take the steel sheets and get them sheared, they come in a bar stock. We get them sheared into different widths. We take the bars through this machine and we cut them down into manageable sizes for the CNC machines so that we can cut out the blade profiles. Once we get the steel cut down to manageable sizes for our machines, we nest them in here. We'll cut the profile so you'll get the actual shape of the blade cut out of this. We're going to get 2 knives per piece of steel, depending on the size. Obviously, the larger models, we're going to get only 1, but usually we'll get 2 knives out of 1 piece of steel. One of the questions we get asked, probably more than anything, is why 1095? Why do you use that more than anything? For us, it comes down to machinability, and it comes down to the finished product. 1095 is pretty easy to machine. It's not extremely expensive steel, but when it's treated right, it's really high quality. We use 1095 specifically because it's easy to resharpen in the field. You know, we got our start with tactical knives, tactical guys, operators that were out in the field. That was our main audience, really from the beginning. So 1095, if you have even just rudimentary sharpening stones, you can at least get a working edge on it out in the field. And that's one of the main reasons that we use high carbon 1095 steel. The surface grinding is an important step depending on how thick your steel is. If it's oversized, you got to get everything down to a uniform size so that we'll all fit the handles and the sheets and everything later on. This is a piece that has not been surface ground, and this is the finished product. It's really hard to even see a difference in thickness without measuring, but there's enough steel there that it will affect the fit and finish of the knife if we don't get them all uniform. After the surface grinder, we put them in this machine here to do the tapers or the grinds. So we've got our blank here. We put it in, we do the tapers on one side, we do the tapers on the other next. So this one's done halfway. Here's one that we've got the tapers on both sides. So after we put the taper on these, we've got to round the edges a little bit. We've got to get rid of all the sharp corners. So we throw them in the rock tumbler. Depending on how much we need to round the edges, we'll run it longer or shorter, also depending on which steel we're using. After they're tumbled, everything's nice and smooth and rounded. We've got to make sure that they're all straight in order to be able to set them up for heat treat. If they're crooked when you heat treat them, they'll be crooked after you heat treat them, and that's no good. You can't straighten them after they've been heat treated. After the knives are straightened, this is where the magic happens. This is probably one of the things we're known for the most here at TOPS, is our differential heat treat on our 1095. This means that as we harden the knife, the edge, the sharpened edge is going to get harder than the spine. This makes the knife stronger overall because if it's going to fail, it's going to bend and not break because it won't be too brittle or too hard. but we've got to get the edge hard enough to maintain a good edge for a long time. If it's too soft, it's going to roll really easily. If it's too hard, it's going to chip really easily. So there's a really fine balance with any knife that you have to meet to make it as strong as possible. And that's one of the things we do really, really well here. After they're heat treated, they come in here to be drawn back to the right Rockwell hardness for each knife. So after the heat treat, the knives have been drawn back, we've got to sandblast them, get them all nice and ready to take the powder coat. The powder coat here is an important step because this is what helps us prevent the knives from rusting. So after the powder coat is applied to the knives, it's got to actually be baked on before it becomes a finished coating that's capable of standing up to all sorts of use that customers put our knives through. That goes in this oven until they're done, and then they're ready to be taken and finished from there. Assembled, sharpened, put with the sheath, and shipped out. Once they're in the 12 by 12 squares, they've got the liner material on, we put them in the CNC machines, cut out the profiles, and really in the one machine, everything for the handle is done, all the contouring. And after that, we go ahead and sandblast them. There's a little bit of hand finishing, and that's another thing that we do very, very well on our handles is they're all finished by hand. All of the X's that we're known for on our handles, they're done by a person. It's not done by the CNC, it's not done by any other machine. This guy right here does every last handle. Basically, we go from this out of the CNC to this. It's done by hand over here to the final product here. This has been sandblasted and sanded down so all the edges are nice and smooth. This handle will fit the knife that it's paired to perfectly. So what sets Tops apart from other companies? It's the handwork that goes into every knife. All of the handles which you saw are shaped by one person. All of the handles are installed on the knife by one person. Everything is sharpened by hand. We don't automate things that maybe we could automate because we prefer that human touch, the person that's interacting with the knife. Everything kind of comes out more unique that way. Our Kydex sheaths, if there's any little fitting that needs to be done after the production run of sheaths is done, there's a person that will hand fit it to the knife that it's going to leave the shop in. So that's, I guess, what I would say sets us apart, is that we overdo things on purpose. When Tops was founded, the whole point behind it was that several guys got together. They were old war pals. They'd all been in combat. They'd all been in Vietnam. The knives that they were issued in Vietnam weren't quite solid enough to do the job. When they got together to start this company, they said, we're going to make knives that people can trust with their life, that people can take wherever it is that they're going, and it's going to help them get there and get back again. That's been kind of the philosophy since the company was started, is we want to make stuff that people can rely on no matter what. Wherever they are, whatever they're doing, this knife is gonna do the job. One of the other things that we do here at Tops Knives, which we only do at Tops Knives, is called the Black River Wash. Basically, we take a knife that's been heat treated, drawn back, finished. We sandblast it to give it this look, and then we do a proprietary acid bath, and that's how we get what we call Black River Wash. So Black River Wash actually colors the steel, and it shows the heat treat line. So the darker portion of this blade is where it is harder. So as we've been mentioning with the differential heat treatment, the spine and the handle are softer than the edge. The edge is the only place that really needs to be hard and brittle, because that's where you get your sharpness from, and If it's soft, your edge will roll. So we get a hard edge, we get a soft spine, and the Black River Wash shows that quality. So once we give it the Black River Wash, and then we spray them with a clear Cerakote, and that's how we prevent them from rusting later on down the road. So the Cerakote is not, there's no color there, it's just a really thin coating to prevent from rust. You're actually seeing the color of the steel with our Black River Wash knives.